Welcome. I'm guessing if you clicked on this video, you're intrigued by the title. Is it about love or is it about rejection? Interesting enough, in this dichotomous relationship between love and rejection, there is a place of existence where we take positioning in our lives sometimes, in our friendships, in our partnerships, in our intimate relationships. We can find ourselves in a position of having love, but feeling rejection. Stay tuned for the rest of this video to hear more about it, because I'm going to be dropping gems. Jesus called Peter out of the boat as he was walking on the water. And he told Peter, come on, have faith, get out the boat. I'm going to make sure that you don't drown. You will be able to walk on water if you just have faith. How many of us have had relationships with individuals and we just needed them to have faith? We could elevate them. We could show them different things. We could teach them different things. We could help them see their true capabilities if they just have faith and believe in what we are trying to show them and teach them, because it's coming from a genuine place of love. But yet, when you look at the story of Jesus and Peter, when Peter got out of the boat, he had faith and then his faith decreased. And when his faith decreased, he began to drown in the water. But Jesus, being who he was, being someone who was exactly the example of love that we're supposed to follow, he still came, stretched out his hand and kept Peter from drowning. And then he asked Peter, why did you doubt? Why did you stop believing? How many times does that happen in our relationships with individuals, where we find ourselves asking the question, why did you stop following my leadership? Why did you stop trusting in my ability to give you this information, give you this wisdom, give you this insight, whatever it may be that helps you elevate, when you know the source of where this comes from is directly connected to God? What's going on, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another episode on Fourth Quarter Pressure, where you are always the more and never the lesser. I'm your host, CJ Stokely, and as always, I'm excited and elated for this opportunity to log back in with you on a Tuesday to go right after it, to get into knowledge, wisdom, and insight that could be passed along to you so that you will have nuggets and you will have an arsenal of tools when you face situations in your life that you can pull from to help you overcome. Because at Fourth Quarter Pressure, you really are always the more and never the lesser. You are a overcomer. You do not succumb, you overcome. That's what this is all about. So I hope your week has been going well so far. I hope that God has been doing amazing things in your life. I hope you're staying prayed up and focused on your purpose, your calling, and your destiny. So before we get into everything today, as always, like I like to do, let me give a quick shout out to officialglorygear.com. You know, I'm going to give you the website first. I ain't going to give you the name. I'm going to just tell you officialglorygear.com. Glory Gear Apparel. But it's officialglorygear.com, because I need you to go on ahead and go over. You know what I'm saying? So you could put on something fresh and clean, so you could dress to impress, so you could look your best and not worry about the rest, so that when people see you, they can confess and want to caress all of the clothing on your body, because you looking like somebody. Even though God brought you from being nobody, you took a spot in his kingdom. And let me stop. But listen, go over officialglorygear.com. Go get your Glory Gear apparel, because it is the number one, not the two or the three, the number one Christian clothing brand in the world. So now that we got that out the way, let's get straight into it. On today's episode, we're going to be talking about something that I feel we all have encountered, or you may be in a position where you're dealing with this right now in your life. I understand. I've been there. I know what it feels like firsthand. And I think it is something that isn't really talked about enough. So I want to give you this information that you can hold on to, so that when you face these moments in your life where you feel what we're going to talk about today, you can address it the right way and have the right thought process about it. So what we're talking about is love's rejection. Now, obviously, in between these two things, there is this dichotomous relationship that exists. There is the reality of love is supposed to be patient and kind and peaceful and awesome. Like, love is supposed to be this great thing. So how can I find myself in this position where I have love, but yet I am rejecting someone, or I love someone, but yet they have rejected me? So now, as we go throughout this today, I'm going to do a lot of comparison between the relationship of Jesus and Peter. Now, before we get into it, let's just think back for a second on the relationship between Jesus and Peter. When you know Peter, one of Jesus' disciples, Peter was first a fisherman. And Jesus came and he picked Peter. He chose Peter. How many of us know what it's like to have this love that we reflect and that we represent because we're followers of Christ? We're believers in Christ, and we have the understanding that real love is Christ. He is the perfect example of what love is. So every time we love the way that we love hard because we understand that we have to be completely selfless in our loving. So now when we think about the relationship with Jesus and Peter, Jesus found Peter and he picked and chose Peter, right? Because he seen something in Peter. So how many of us in our lives have picked people to be a part of our lives, or picked people to be friends with us, or picked people to be our husbands or our wives or our girlfriends or our boyfriends, and it was because we saw something in them? So now as we speak about this, we think about that in itself is a form of love. I see greatness in you. It takes a level of selflessness to be able to see something in someone and pick them and choose them. Again, comparing it to Jesus himself being selfless, being love, because love is selfless. That is the true, genuine definition of love, proper love. So now, as we continue to think about this relationship between Jesus and Peter, he told him, he said, come and follow me. Don't just be a fisherman. Come and follow me and I will make you fishers of men. So I'm not just going to pick you. I'm going to pick you because of what I see in you. And then I'm going to help elevate you. I'm going to help bring you up. I'm going to teach you. I'm going to build you. I'm going to show you how to become the greatest version of yourself. How many of us have committed ourselves to individuals, trying to help make them the best versions of themselves because of what we can see in them that they couldn't see at the time that we chose them? At the time that we picked them, at the time that we said, I'm going to pour out into you because I see something great on the inside of you. And I don't want to be selfish. I want to reflect love. So I'm going to be selfless. Now, as time goes on, you hear different stories about Jesus and Peter, where Jesus called Peter out of the boat as he was walking on the water. And he told Peter, come on. Have faith. Get out the boat. I'm going to make sure that you don't drown. You will be able to walk on water if you just have faith. How many of us have had relationships with individuals and we just needed them to have faith? We could elevate them. We could show them different things. We could teach them different things. We could help them see their true capabilities if they just have faith and believe in what we are trying to show them and teach them, because it's coming from a genuine place of love. But yet, when you look at the story of Jesus and Peter, when Peter got out of the boat, he had faith and then his faith decreased. And when his faith decreased, he began to drown in the water. But Jesus, being who he was, being someone who was exactly the example of love that we're supposed to follow, he still came, stretched out his hand, and kept Peter from drowning. And then he asked Peter, why did you doubt? Why did you stop believing? How many times does that happen in our relationships with individuals? Well, we find ourselves asking the question, why did you stop following my leadership? Why did you stop trusting in my ability to give you this information, give you this wisdom, give you this insight, whatever it may be that helps you elevate when you know the source of where this comes from is directly connected to God? Because Jesus was who he was, because he was God. No one gets to the Father except through me. Jesus was God wrapped in flesh. So his power was not in his humanity. His power was in the source of what he was connected to. So the faith in Jesus should have been the faith in Peter, the faith from Peter in Jesus should have come from Peter's understanding of, I know who Jesus really is. Now, even more so when we look into the story of Jesus and Peter, we find where there came a point in time where Jesus asked Peter, who do people say that I am? And Peter said, the Messiah. He said, oh, okay, well, clearly it's not flesh and blood that revealed this to you. It was my Father in heaven. He said, so now your name shall be Cephas, which translates to Peter. And on this rock I will build my church. So how many times in relationship with individuals have we even helped change their identity because of things that they've gone through in their past, because of things that they experienced in their lives? Because again, we are representing and exemplifying the definition of proper love, of true love. And we are now sharing this with this individual or multiple individuals in our lives. And we have now helped them change their identity. They don't look the same. They don't talk the same. They don't think the same. They don't act the same because of what we have poured out into them. Now, as we continue to go on with this story, but this relationship between Peter and Jesus, we see where Jesus was going to pray in the garden, and he asked Peter, just stay up and watch me. That's all I need you to do is just stay up and watch me. And Peter is the same one who fell asleep. And Jesus came back and said, hey man, you fell asleep on me, dog? How does it feel to be someone who has built someone up, who has taught them, who can see greatness in them? And now when you need them, now when you are vulnerable, when you are about to go and pray because you are so stressed out and anxious and worried and frustrated at what God is now calling you to do, that when you ask this person to do something for you, they go to sleep on you. That feeling can come across as a form of rejection. Because I thought you loved me. I have poured out all that I have poured out into you, and I thought you loved me, but you rejected me. Now, we go a little bit deeper into the relationship between Peter and Jesus, and we see where Jesus told Peter, he said, you are going to deny me. And Peter's like, man, I love you. I would never deny you. It doesn't matter what happens. I would never turn my back on you. I would never reject you. He said, you're going to reject me. You're going to deny me 3 times before the rooster crows. So now when Jesus is getting ready to be taken and he's about to be crucified and all of these things are transpiring in the Bible, they come to Peter and they say, wait a minute now. I know you. 3 separate times. Say, I know you. No, you surely were with Jesus. First time Peter says, no. They come to him again. Second time Peter says, no. Starts calling down curses on him. Third time Peter says, no, I'm telling you, there's no way. I don't know him. I was not with him. Rejecting the person who built him up, rejecting the person who seen something in him, rejecting the person who tried to help him get to his purpose, who saw destiny on his life, who loved him from a genuine place. And yet this person got rejected by Peter. So now, just giving a brief analysis of the story of Jesus and Peter, I want to now go into what we're going to be talking about and the points that I have for you. If you have a notebook, pen, pad, tablet, whatever it is, grab a hold to it for me, please, because I want you to be able to take notes on this. So first, what we're going to be talking about is, number one, love and rejection can coexist. They absolutely can coexist. But here's the reality. Proper love and rejection cannot coexist. Jesus never rejected Peter. Peter rejected Jesus. Follow along with what I'm saying. Because, point number one, real love is seen in actions. One of those actions is not rejection. When you really love someone, they can see it. Most times when you have involvements with individuals who do not understand or cannot see that you love them, when your love is coming from a genuine place and it is selfless, or it is a biblical type of love, when it comes to you pouring out into them, teaching them things, all of these type of things, a lot of times when they can't see it, it's not because you don't genuinely love them. It's because they don't understand what proper love looks like. Now, that's a whole different kind of conversation. But the reality of it is that does happen. It is very possible for you to be producing the actions that you're supposed to be producing, but then someone else does not feel that you love them because they only have an understanding or a limited understanding of what love is actually supposed to look like. But the reality of it also is that if that individual really does love you the proper way, then there will not be rejection that shows up. Think about it. Any of us who have ever been in a situation where we love someone but yet got rejected by that person, I guarantee you the love didn't look the same. The things you were willing to do for them, they weren't willing to do for you. The way you were willing to be selfless, it's not the way they were willing to be selfless. The sacrifices you would make, the level of endurance that you had to deal with this person or to be patient with this person may not have looked the same from their end. But yet they were convinced that they really loved you. And to them, they really may have. But having the understanding, and this is the importance of having a relationship with God, having the understanding of what real love is supposed to look like and consist of. Because real love is denying myself. Real love is complete and utter selflessness. Are you following what I'm saying? Let's go to the next point. It is possible for people to love you, but have the inability to be selfless because they love you, but not more than they love themselves. I tell people this all the time. A lot of times people will love you, but they are incapable of loving you more than they love themselves. So the depths in which you will go for them, they are not going to go for you. How long you will ride with them and have their back no matter what goes on, they may not feel that way towards you. So it creates this lack of balance in the relationships that you have with these individuals, because it's, I will give this, this, and this for you, but you won't go this, and this far for me. Are you following what I'm saying? And why is that? Because improper love. The proper love is Jesus Christ. The proper love says, well, regardless of anything, I'm always going to love you. I'm always going to have your back. I always got you. I'm always going to ride with you. Because Jesus never turned his back on Peter. Even when Jesus was resurrected and Peter, after Peter cried about it and he was upset, Jesus forgave Peter. And then he put Peter in a position of ministry. So even still, the consistency of love after rejection, when it's genuine love, still operated as love and tried to make sure Peter stayed in a position of establishment and being established and moving in authority and righteousness and preaching the gospel that Jesus wanted him to preach. Because what he seen in him was greater than his mistake. And a lot of times that's what we do. We see greater in individuals because we love from a genuine place. We love from a place that says the reason why I picked you in the first place is not about where you are. It's about where I know God is trying to take you. It's about where I know you're going. So I say all of this to say the way sometimes we should look at rejection is not the way that the devil wants us to see it. The way the devil wants us to trick our mind into believing that it really is. Sometimes the rejection of you is meant for the betterment of someone else. So that person who may have rejected you, while you are genuinely loving them, willing to do anything for them, willing to go whatever distance for them, but they are not capable of that, but they do love you. They just can't love you more than themselves. They can't deny themselves. They can't be completely selfless. Sometimes that happens so that rejection is what provokes them to realize their own errors, to realize their own mistakes. Sometimes us being rejected, we shouldn't look at and feel like we lacked something, or we are the issue, or we are the problem. Sometimes it's that there was love from this person, but now that they have rejected me, this rejection may have been necessary for them to realize something. How do we know this? Because in the Bible, it says that after Peter denied Jesus the third time, a rooster crowed. And after the rooster crowed, Peter then broke into tears, realizing how he had betrayed God, how he had betrayed Jesus. And he wept and he cried. Now, I want to look at that word realize. In the Bible, in the text, he realized in that moment and he felt sorrowful and he felt so bad. But something clicked on the inside of him because he realized, oh my God, I did not love him the way I thought I did. Not because he was undeserving, but because of a issue and a flaw within me, because I didn't want to die. I didn't want them to kill me for saying I was associated with Jesus. So instead, I rejected and denied the one person in my life who always poured into me, who built me up, who tried to help me be this best man of God that I could be. And now I'm realizing I messed up. But now, if you follow the story a little bit longer, it was that same rejection of Jesus that, like I said, created this realization. And then after he realized what he did, he came back and he repented to Jesus. And then going back to what I said earlier, Jesus gave him grace. Jesus showed him patience because real love is always consistent. Real love says, I'm never going to give up on you. Real love says, I'm always going to ride or die for you. But now, like I say, when we look at this word realize, sometimes in our lives, our coming to a realization or that person who rejected us coming to a realization is not something that happens immediately like it did in the text. Sometimes the realization is a month by month period. Sometimes it takes a year. Sometimes it takes 2, 5, 10 years. But you have to understand that us as believers, we sign ourselves up to be sacrifices for the betterment of the body of Christ. So if me being rejected is going to help you realize the things that you did not see right now in this moment that I am being rejected, we have to learn how to be okay with that. We have to realize that sometimes when people step over into disobedience or when people are not operating the right way or treating us the right way or moving and thinking the right way that they should about the level of genuine love that we give to them, it's okay. It's not us. It's not our fault. It is the reality that some individuals have experienced certain things in their lives and they only have a limited understanding to things, and they may not have an in-depth spiritual and biblical relationship with God and knowledge of God and knowledge about the Holy Spirit and knowledge about Jesus. So they can only move out of what they understand. So we have to now learn how to look at this rejection and say, okay, I get it. I do genuinely love you. You love me to the best of your ability, but you reject me because you do not have the understanding of what real love is supposed to look like. You don't have the real understanding that I have, because the basis of what my love is supposed to look like is predicated on who Jesus Christ was. Now, let's go a little bit deeper. When we look at after Jesus forgave Peter and he told him, he said, do you love me? He asked him, he said, do you love me? Peter said, yes, I do. He said, feed my sheep. Oh, okay. So if you love me, then now here comes the action. Let me see it. See, I love you because despite you falling asleep on me, rejection, despite you denying me to other people because you didn't want to be selfless and give up your life, I still died for you. Because love, again, genuine love, proper love is always consistent. It doesn't waver. No matter what we go through, no matter what happens, no matter how things change or what situations we may be in, I'm always going to be solid to you. I'm always going to ride by you. I'm always going to have your back. I'm always going to hold it down for you. Come on. Because that's what genuine love is. That's what proper love is. And so now Jesus is telling them, okay, if you love me, feed my sheep, minister to my people, teach my people about me, teach the children of God about who I am and why I came and died for their sins. Then he asked him again, he said, you love me? Peter said, yes. He said, okay, feed my sheep. So now we look at this relationship between love and actions. You cannot say you have the proper love for someone and not demonstrate the proper actions. Now, I want you to think about this. Look at the consistency of what proper and genuine love is. Because if we go further down the line, and this is not in the Bible, this is in deeper studies of Peter and who Peter was, that tells you more about Peter's life and when he died and all those things. So after Jesus had told him that, Peter ended up, and this part is in the Bible, Peter ended up going and ministering to the same people who crucified him. And 3,000 people ended up becoming saved. And as Peter's life went on and on and on, when it came time for him to die, they were going to crucify him. But Peter did not want to be crucified in the same manner Jesus was, because he said he was not deserving. So instead of them crucifying him standing up the right way, they flipped him upside down to make a mockery of the righteousness of Christ for his faith and his belief in Jesus. Now watch this. Was it not his faith and belief in Jesus that would have gotten him crucified in the first place when he rejected and denied Jesus? So are we now seeing how genuine love, being Jesus Christ and what he exemplified, to operate in genuine love always requires selflessness, because Peter ran from selflessness in order to not get crucified. And yet years later, he still ended up, once he realized his mistake by rejecting Jesus, he still ended up in a position where now he has to show in action that I really do have this genuine love for you now. Are you following what I'm saying? So what does this mean? This genuine love that he had still led to him having the same consequence that he would have had years prior. So what am I saying? Genuine love comes with a certain standard. It comes with a certain expectation. It comes with a certain obligation. To have genuine love requires selflessness, the ultimate level of selflessness. Why? Because that is exactly what happened with Jesus. There is a reason why we have to die to ourselves to follow Christ, because Jesus died to keep us and save us and give us the ability to have salvation. So if I am love as Jesus Christ, then you trying to follow me have to exemplify love, because love, genuine love, only understands genuine love. We for us to have a relationship, it has to be genuine love, because I died for you, so now I need you to die to your flesh for me. Throughout the entire life of Peter, the story and relationship between Peter and Jesus, we still see how Peter ended up in a situation where he had to die being crucified upside down for the same thing that he tried to run from. What was he trying to run from? Exemplifying genuine love, because he didn't realize his own errors. So now when we look at rejection, when we love someone, we have to have the understanding that this rejection hurts. This rejection is saddening. This rejection causes heartache. We don't know what Jesus felt, knowing that the person who he built up, the person who he kept from drowning, the person who he changed his identity, was going to reject him before he even did it. And he still did all of this for him. Knowing that that person's going to reject you, going to turn their back on you. They're not going to hold you down. They can't stay woke while you going through one of the hardest times of your life because you're about to die. So yes, I can imagine this is extremely heartbreaking. But yet and still, what do we see Jesus exemplify? The proper type of love. So we must understand that the rejecting of us, exemplifying the right type of love, is a part of what comes with exemplifying Christ-like characteristics. It is what comes with having the understanding that love sometimes does come with rejection. But that rejection is not a reflection of us. It is a reflection of the lacking of something else in that other individual. And we have to have confidence and take joy in the reality that whatever that lacking is, our rejection may just be the thing that helps them realize their errors, to help them realize their mistakes, to help them realize their lack of understanding, to help them realize their lack of spiritual knowledge, so that they can then tap into the proper ways of thinking, the proper ways of loving, the proper ways of acting, so that they can be all of who God called them to be. Instead of us sulking in our frustration because we have this big heart, because we have this genuine love that we pour out and we give, and yet we find ourselves in a position of rejection. And we must remember, most importantly, just like how Jesus came back and he still stayed consistent in his love. His actions were always consistent to who he really was, which is genuine and proper love. That after Peter's realizing, produced forgiveness, which calls for Peter to have the confidence that he could still be who God had called him to be. And later on, produced a ministry out of Peter that I personally do not believe he would have been capable of had he not tapped into the realization that he was operating in selfish love rather than selfless love, which then he began to walk into after his realization. So remember, because that's it for this episode, remember, rejection hurts. It is uncomfortable. But don't blame yourself. Don't point the finger at you. If you are exemplifying deep levels of love, where you are teaching and pouring out, trying to help and build different individuals in your life, and they reject you, don't take it personal. I know it's not easy, but don't take it personal. Look at it and say, you know what? This, in some shape, form, or fashion, may just be service to the kingdom of God. Because if I have to be the sacrificial lamb in order for you to come into a understanding that you did not have before, if you rejecting me is what's going to make you come into a realization of how you are supposed to really love, of how you are supposed to really think, of how you are supposed to really be as an individual, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually, then so be it. It hurts, but so be it. Because if I love you, you are my ministry. It doesn't matter if you're a friend, business partner, relative, girlfriend, boyfriend, whatever it is. If I love you, you are my ministry, because love is a form of ministry. Are you following what I'm saying? So I hope this episode blessed you. I hope you took something from it. Just remember, change your perspective on rejection. It's not always a bad thing. Sometimes it's meant to help people become the best version of themselves. So I'll see you next time. And before we get out of here, as I always like to end it, you are always the more, never the lesser. And we, you and me, we are fourth quarter pressure. God bless you. I'll see you next time. Hold up. Thank you so much for tuning in to the Fourth Quarter Pressure podcast. I genuinely appreciate you. If it blessed you, if you got something from it, if you received any message from something that was shared on this episode, please go and rate it 5 stars. Please like, share, subscribe, the whole 9 yards. Spread the word to your friends, your family members, because we are trying to make an impact. We're in this together. Remember, I said that we're in this together. So I pray that you are blessed by it. Follow on all social media platforms at This Is 4QP. And remember, you are always the more, never the lesser. And we are Fourth Quarter Pressure. I'll see you next time.